Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Yes, good morning everyone. Yes, we will discuss important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper, 11th October. As it is Monday, so we will have some Monday motivation. So yes, we can understand that some of you may have attempted yesterday's paper. If you have not attempted, you try to give dummy attempt, trial attempt, those who are preparing for 2022-23 examination. Okay, so that you will understand the nature of questions, how UPSC is changing some kind of trend, like for example increasing number of environment questions are there. Okay, let's questions, some of them are fact based, some of them are conceptual. From which module conceptual questions are being asked, from which module fact based questions are asked. This analysis, yes, Lukman IAS is going to come up with this analysis with module wise, let's say section wise analysis we are going to provide you along with answer key also. Okay, so yes, we will talk about 3 P's today as a part of Monday motivation: passion, patience, perseverance. Okay, so how they are important and relevant to life of a civil servant. Yes, so passion is very much important for any person in any field, let's say any professional field. Okay, so unless and until we are not having passion to achieve our aim in our life, okay, so we have decided that we are going to be civil servant. So we need to be passionate about our goal, our dream in life. Okay, then only we will give more than 100%, then we will be satisfied with our efforts and the possibility of achieving that goal increases. So we need to be passionate. Okay, so whatever we are doing, we need to be doing it passionately. Okay, then obviously the patience, let's say 2 days back I come up with a news that some of the student has done suicide here in Old Rajan Nagar, civil service aspirant. It is very, let's say, painful to say that the students should not resort to such kind of, let's say, actions, and that's why I want to emphasize the patience virtue here, that civil servant aspirants, the students, they need to have patience. Failure is a part of life. At the same time, this examination process is so stressful. Many a times students feel stress not only from the, let's say, the pressure of preparation, but also from the social surrounding, be it peer pressure or let's say pressure from home. Okay, so try to understand, we have to come up with some plan here to overcome such kind of pressure. Okay, so we need to have our, let's say, emotional balance. At the same time, we have to understand that this is not the end. This examination is not the ultimate motive of your life. Try to understand, you have come up in this field with motive of serving people, and civil services is one of the platform to serve the people. Okay, when you come up with some narrow motives, it creates some kind of pressure in this examination. Okay, so achieving power, let's say, or having very good job status in the society, then your, let's say, motivation is very wrong here. The ultimate motivation that you should have is to serve the people, to bring change in the society, and this is one just platform. There are many other platforms also. So this is not the end of life here. Try to understand. So you should not buckle under the pressure, rather you should think that we are given the opportunity. Okay, we are given the opportunity and we have to grab this opportunity for the betterment of the society, right? So if it is not, yes, we can understand the failure rate is huge here, more than 99%. Obviously we have to accept that, we have to accept the failure in life and move forward. We have to, let's say, build new dreams our life, we have to build the new aims and goals in our life and try to achieve them. And this is lifelong process. ओके हम क्या 20 साल 22 साल में IAS बन के हमारा एम खत्म नहीं होता है. इवन आफ्टर बिकमिंग IAS you have different dreams, your goals in your life. Okay, so life doesn't stops here, so we should not take such hard measures, or we can say at least try to think about what will happen to your near ones, loved ones. Okay, so patience is very important, not only in the life of civil service aspirant, even after becoming civil servant. You may have come across many civil servants. They are the most patient person. Okay, I would say that after doctors, civil servants are second highest in that. Can we say that? Right? So they do not have any kind of expression also, largely. Okay, so after listening to the person, they will say that yes, this is the solution to your problem, and they will give the ultimate solution. Then after that, there is no discussion. Okay, so basically the civil servant is going to face many different people who are from different backgrounds. They are coming, let's say, with their problems. They may be in anger, they may be in distress, grief. Okay, so because of that, you need to be patient, you need to listen them, and then only the problem will be solved. And lastly, very important is perseverance. So after having patience, you need to also have perseverance. That is, you need to continue your efforts with the same intention and same hard work. Despite of hurdles in the life, despite of failures in the life, you need to stand up again and again fight for your dreams, fight for your goals. This is what perseverance is saying. Unless and until the goal is achieved. What Swami Vivekananda says, arise, awake and stop not till the goal is achieved. This is what the perseverance is talking about. Okay, so civil service aspirant should aim for, or we can say that have this perseverance in their life so as to achieve this goal, because this is long journey. This is long journey. There will be some hurdles, there will be some failures. We have to accept that. We have to again stand next day itself. Suppose the yesterday result is declared, and if suppose the failure is there, next day itself we should study in the same manner that we studied the day before yesterday. Okay, so this is what the perseverance is, and this should be there, and then only the success will be yours. Okay. Yes. So now we will discuss important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Okay. So I believe that you are having newspaper with you. First page. Okay, so political news, all of these, the violence related articles are there. Directly come to the page number 4. There is one article, Meghalaya river back from dead, claims Meghalaya government. Okay, so first thing, geography mapping part, rivers. Yesterday UPSC asked 2 such questions from rivers. Okay, one question was from Indus river system, other question was from rivers originating from Eastern Ghats. Okay, so which of the following rivers originate from Eastern Ghats? Such kind of question was asked. Okay, and geography foundation batch, we covered all those rivers in the mapping part. Okay, direct question was asked. All those rivers origin we covered there in foundation batch. Okay, yes, very basic questions were asked. So here the Lukha river of Meghalaya, which was very much polluted in last 1 decade. Now unique technique, what technique? FICO remediation technique was used here. This is part of environment section. Okay, so how this river pollution, water pollution can be eliminated or reduced? Remediation techniques, environmental remediation. So there is bioremediation, there is phytoremediation, there is FICO remediation. So what are these techniques of remediation? We have to understand from environment perspective. Okay, so this is how we take input from newspaper. States, chota sa news hai, but there is one term mentioned. So this is what UPSC will ask. Okay, yes. Now on Yes, on page number 7, states scramble to avoid power restrictions. So basically, which states? Southern states, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, they are facing coal, let's say, shorts, or we can say limitations. Here they are having only 3 to 4 days of backup of coal, these power plants in these states, and that's why the power blackout may happen in southern states. This is what they are facing the problem at present, and this is fine. In future we will see that whether it will happen or not. This is happening because of coal is not getting transported to these states. Okay, so there is delay by railways actually. The problem in transportation it is happening. Why it is happening? Problem in transportation. For that understanding, we have to understand the distribution of coal reserves in India. You need to understand that southern states are not having coal reserves, and the transportation of coal is happening largely from the states like there is Telangana, Singareni reserves are there, then there is the Troika, we know that Jharkhand, Odisha and Chhattisgarh, largely coal reserves are from these states. So we will try to locate these reserves, which are these mines in let's say understanding of basics, GS 1 paper, geography part. Okay. Yes, on editorial page 8, lead article, a Taiwan flashpoint in Indo-Pacific. Now, this article discusses everything about this conflict, China and Taiwan. So we were having follow-up and we said that there will be one article discussing history of this conflict. This article discusses, this is written by former diplomat, so again very relevant to our examination. So we will discuss the history, then we will talk about what are the present or contemporary problems going on, the conflict that is there, and the geopolitical significance for India also. Okay, so yes, other articles are not that much relevant. Okay, so on left side there is one editorial, Homecoming, again that is related to Air India, the Tata company acquiring Air India. So again that is not that much important, already we have discussed that. Okay, on page number 10, US outlines a softer focus on Quad. Basically the US secretary is visiting India, so she was actually highlighting the softer focus on Quad grouping, highlighting that it is not military or security alliance. This is what she was saying. So that is not important because already we have covered that. Yes, India China discuss disengagement. So 13th round of Corps Commander talks happened, but the outcome of this is not in public domain. So when it will come, we will discuss that. Just remember that 13th round happened. Okay. Then on page number 11, there is consensus over Kalapani, ex-Nepal minister who is recently visited our external affairs minister and UP chief minister. So he was talking about the Kalapani disputed area, right, between India and Nepal. So again there will be revision, we will discuss that what is Kalapani, Limpia, Dhura, Lipu Lake, Tri Junction. Okay, so this is important from IR section as well as geography prelims mapping. Okay. Yes, there is a very good case study on page number 12 that stocks villages in Odisha's Keonjhar district. Again, Keonjhar, iron ore mines in Odisha, foundation batch. If you remember, we have discussed this in iron ore reserves distribution. So there we have looked into the Keonjhar district, the northern part of Odisha, where the iron ore is located. So in that district, the tribal belt, it is tribal belt, and the villages are facing major problems there, be it in terms of environment pollution, lack of development, lack of availability of schools, Anganwadis. At the same time, the benefits from the mining or the profit that is the state is deriving or the private sector is deriving from the mining, it is not percolating to the local people, tribal people. So this is what being discussed in that article. So there can be very good case study. You should be aware that every year Almost every year the UPSC asked one case study on development of backward regions. Okay, so we can take input from this article, what kind of case study that can be framed. So we have framed one case study such, we will discuss that. Okay, so fine then, we will discuss these articles in detail now. Okay, so first article, a Taiwan flashpoint in the Indo-Pacific. Okay, so you must be thinking why it is important, it is not relevant to India, it is conflict between China and Taiwan and all these things. But Indo-Pacific, so this is in news, right? And this is significance for India. So whatever the, let's say, developments that are happening in Indo-Pacific, South China Sea especially, they are relevant to India. Anyhow, they will have some kind of bearing. So history of the conflict, we will understand that. But you should be aware that at present the conflict is going on, like the Chinese, let's say, Air Force, the aircrafts are entering into the area of Taiwan. Like Taiwan is again retaliating some kind of, let's say, aircrafts into Chinese area. This is what presently going on. That's why it is in news. So let us understand the history of the conflict. So we know that China became independent 1949. Okay. Before that, there was a civil war going on within China between two forces, the civil war. Okay, so 1944 to 49, there was a civil war going on between two civilian forces, we can say, with different ideologies, and the Communist Party of China, it won this civil war, and the other force went to or took refuge in Taiwan Island. Names are not important, you should remember the KMK, the political party name. This is Communist Party, this is KMK. Okay, now this particular political party, the descendants of this political party, they are living in Taiwan along with the original people of this island. Okay, together the population is living there. Now let us understand how this conflict evolved. Now after this independence and winning this war, so after that you should remember China wanted to take over this Taiwan island. Okay, to integrate as a complete China, unified China. But what happened immediately? There was Korean War. There was Korean War 1950 to 53. And during this Korean War, US made pact with Taiwan to use Taiwan for its aircrafts as an air base. Okay, and in return provided defense against China. So China could not acquire Taiwan at that time, because US was supporting Taiwan. Okay, so this was the situation up till 1979. This was the situation up till 1979. And what happened in 1979? In 1979, US agreed one China policy. US agreed with one China policy and ended diplomatic relations with Taiwan. Okay, so from that point, now Taiwan was very much, we can say, fearful of China. Okay, so because it was not having any kind of international recognition or support. Okay, so you should remember that the economic relations between these two now. This was the situation. After that, there is no support to Taiwan by US, and there is some kind of ambiguity by the US. There is no formal support, but US also says that if suppose China is having any kind of aggression against Taiwan, US will support Taiwan. Okay, so double let's say standard. Okay, on one hand it is accepting one China policy, that is the stand of Communist Party of China. Okay, so one China policy, it says that the China is one. So different, let's say part, be it Taiwan or Tibet or different provinces. So they are part of one China, one country. Okay, so this is also recognized by India. Okay, India recognizes one China. So that's why Tibet is part of China. Now economic relations, this is also important. Why? Because they are relevant here. So economic links between China and Taiwan. So the descendants of that KMK who came from mainland to this Taiwan, no, they are wealthy families. Okay, they are wealthy families, and when China became the market economy or opened its economy after 1979 or 78, we can say, its economy was opened at that time, and then the Taiwanese wealthy families invested in Chinese economy. They invested in Chinese economy. Okay, so this is what the economic relation is there between China and Taiwan. At present, around 15 to 20% of Taiwan's GDP, or that amount is invested in China. That much, let's say, proportionate amount. So to some extent, China considers that these wealthy families will support China. These wealthy families will support China in case of any conflict in near future happens. However, you should remember the recent developments, politics of Taiwan. There are two important parties, KMK, since start it is there. But there is one more party, Democratic Progressive Party, DPP. Okay, Democratically Progressive Party. Now this party has won 2016 elections and re-elected in 2020 again. And the philosophy of this party is different than this party. This party believes in one China. That is regaining the power of mainland. The original aim. Earlier they were asked to go out into Taiwan island, or we can say that removed from the mainland, and but still they were having the aim of capturing the mainland again, not declaring Taiwan as independent country. They were having this aim, but this party is having the aim of having independent Taiwan country. Yes. Now this independent, this aim, and now they are in ruling. Okay, that's why China since 2016 has implemented economic sanctions on Taiwan, military aggression in Taiwan Strait. Okay, this is what is seen last 5 years. Reason is this one, because they focus on becoming independent. Okay, so this is the stance. At least they are having the same stance of, let's say, mainland Communist Party, having only one country, but separation from let's say mainland China. So that's why the conflict is further increasing, and recently the flashpoints. Okay, so you should remember this, the present stance of US also. We will talk about that. Okay, so present stance, recently US military officers, commander says that in near future, or at least next 5 to 6 years, we can see the full blown armed conflict between China and Taiwan. This is very extreme statement given by US military, let's say executive या जो भी top officials है. So that's why it is further being said that US already has increased its stance in Indo-Pacific or presence in Indo-Pacific, and in near future we can expect that US will support Taiwan. Are you aware about recent developments? There are reports that US armed forces are secretly training Taiwan forces. कुछ दिन पहले था ना न्यूज़ में, it was in news.
Recently they given the statement over
Yes, yes. So this shows that US is in near future may change or going to change its stance. Earlier stance, there was no relations between Taiwan and US since 1979. Remember the landmark years. Okay, 1949, 1979 and the recent developments. That much is sufficient. Okay, now impact on alliances. So we know that two important alliances. First is Quad, of which India is member, and second is recently formed. So we know that AUKUS will have some kind of deterrent effect on China, aggressive China in South China Sea or Western Pacific. Okay, so again there is counter argument. Counter argument says that because of formation of AUKUS, China is getting angry and the process of acquiring Taiwan will further increase. Okay, so China is becoming angry, and in future suppose China feels that its power is going to reduce, then China wants to immediately acquire Taiwan. Some of the counter arguments, experts, political theorists say that. Okay, so this is the situation. Then Quad, we know that obviously they are democracies of the world. So what is the aim and objective, main aim and objective? Quad. In Indo-Pacific, what is the main objective? Use these words always in your answer. Open, free, inclusive. And in the name of this, Quad grouping will always exert pressure on China. It will not allow any kind of armed conflict in that region, violence in that region, unilateral actions in that region. Okay, so including India, this is what the India's interest is there. Okay, we know that South China Sea, obviously some of the Southeast Asian countries, we are having very good relations with ASEAN. We have free trade agreement with ASEAN. There are let's say exploration projects of ONGC Videsh off coast of Vietnam, right? So we have economic interest, we have strategic interests in South China Sea, and that's why we want peace and stability in that region. Okay, so through Quad grouping, India will exert some kind of pressure, and AUKUS direct kind of deterrence will be there. Okay, so in this manner we should discuss, and that's why the writer is saying that in future, whatever the India foreign policy is towards Indo-Pacific, this flashpoint should be taken into consideration. Okay, these developments, already the conflict is there over EEZ of these countries in South China Sea. Okay, and this is the new conflict further emerging in that region. Fine, any question?
So mostly by involvement of USA in Taiwan, mostly south, east, south, west has been controlled by the USA for now, indirectly. So China.
South, east and southwest, what you are saying?
West of the China, south of the China, east of the China, indirectly in the influence of US for present. Whatever the countries are in.
How west of China?
So South Korea have military bases of US.
No. West of China. That is east of China. That is fine. Japan is there, South Korea is there. But what is east of China? West of China. West of China, there is always dominance of Russia. Okay, Central Asian republics are there, and now Afghanistan is there. वहाँ से तो चला गया US. Okay, so towards land there is no dominance. That's why US is entering into marine region. उधर का जो है ना इंडो पैसिफिक जिसको बोलते हैं, ईस्ट चाइना सी और साउथ चाइना सी एंड वेस्टर्न पैसिफिक. Okay.
USA trying to indirect influence on China by entering of Taiwan.
Yes, yes, yes. Obviously, US will try to deter any kind of aggressive unilateral actions. These are small countries, territories. They want to assert their autonomy, sovereignty, and obviously, US has been, let's say, always at forefront to protect the sovereignty of the countries. Okay, so it is against unilateral actions. Like when in 2014, Russia annexed Crimea of Ukraine, Crimea region of Ukraine. So immediately there were sanctions on Russia. Okay, so in this manner, whenever such kind of unilateral action will be taken by China, suppose in future, there will be sanctions by US and its allies. Allies have to follow US. Okay, at least Japan, Australia and some of the European countries and Canada also. Okay.
The US has also a great economic interest in Chinese market. So
Yes.
how
That is going to balance now. What US does no? US tried to suppress the things. US tried to ask China to follow, let's say, the rule based order, or we can say that it does not want to, let's say, assert its aggressiveness. Okay, basically US is also dependent on China economically. Trade relations are very strong. Okay, so because of that, it does not want to, let's say, affect their economic relations also. That's why from other side it wants to pressurize. Okay, ठीक है, तू अभी अभी बड़ा हो रहा है, ज़्यादा उछल मत. Indirectly US का क्या होगा बोलना, ऐसा है. So that's why the military power, the military dominance indirectly shown by US. Okay, so indirectly it is assertion of superpower. Okay, leader of the world indirectly, right? Okay. Now there is a consensus over, Kalapani, ex-Nepal minister says, consensus over the internal politics of Nepal, they are saying. Okay, and the internal politics, the consensus is that Kalapani is the part of Nepal. All political parties of Nepal, they are having consensus that Kalapani is part of Nepal, but it is part of India. Okay, India claims that region. India is having that, or India administered that region at present. It is part of Uttarakhand state. We'll talk about this conflict now. See the location first. Limpiadhura, Lipu Lake, Kalapani region, Tri-Junction in Uttarakhand. Okay, so this is the Tri-Junction, Limpiadhura on this side. Then this is Kalapani and this is Lipu Lake. Lipu Lake is actual Tri-Junction between these three countries, Nepal, China, and then Lipu Lake is also having trade post, border trade post. Okay, so India-China trade happens through Lipu Lake. Remember this. Okay, now let us understand the background here, historical aspect. The boundary dispute or boundary between India and Nepal is largely an outcome of Treaty of Sugauli, 1816. Now this treaty was between East India Company, that time India was ruled by East India Company, and Kingdom of Nepal. Treaty of Sugauli, 1816. Now according to this treaty, it was decided that on the east of Kali river, it will be Nepal treaty, Nepal territory, Kingdom of Nepal, and west of Kali river, it will be India's. Okay, so as per Article 5 of Treaty of Sugauli, west of Kali river belongs to India. However, the problem with this treaty was, it fails to demarcate or pinpoint the origin of Kali river, and the dispute presently is over that. Okay, so this Kali river, see here, Nepal considers that Kali river originates at Limpiadhura like this, and that's why whatever is on the east of Kali river is belonging to Nepal. That's why Nepal claims this region. Okay, but India considers that the origin of this Kali river is in this region like this, Kalapani region. The origin is in Kalapani region, and that's why whatever that is west of this river is India's territory. This is actually the dispute that is going on. Okay, so source of Kali river, this is also called as Sharda when it enters into India, Uttar Pradesh. Remember this? This flows along the border, Uttarakhand and Nepal, like this. It is also called as Mahakali there. And then it enters into India named Sharda, and it meets Ghaggar river. Ghaggar river then ultimately meets Ganga river. Okay, now, yes, Nepal claims that source of Kali river lies at Limpiadhura. We have understood that. Now, since the Indo-China War of 1962, Kalapani is controlled by India's ITBP, sorry. Indo-Tibetan Police Forces. Okay, so at present it is under control of India. Then strategic significance of region. Tri-junction between India, Nepal and China. What is other geo-economic and cultural significance? Pilgrimage to Kailash Mansarovar, they go through Lipu Lake. Shortest, let's say, path. Longest path is actually going from Nepal and then entering into Nepal-China border from other side. Mansarovar and Kailash mountains, right. So that is longer route. That's why we want to have through Lipu Lake. Recently border road was, let's say, last year or last to last year when this conflict happened. Our defense minister inaugurated road there. Okay, that's why the conflict again emerged. So border trade with China at Lipu Lake. So this is geo-economic and cultural significance. This can be mentioned in mains examination. India-Nepal border dispute. There can be question. Okay, so let's say in general border disputes with neighbors. There can be question. So border dispute is there with Nepal, with Pakistan, with Bangladesh, with China. At least these 4 countries. The border dispute is very much prominent. Okay. So you can mention with Nepal, this is the region, right, on the western flank of Nepal. So this is the conflict that is there. Fine. Now moving on. Death stalks villages in Odisha's Keonjhar. Now we have framed this case study. Look at the case study. I will read here quickly. Whatever that is mentioned in the article, no, directly I have prepared this case study in that manner. See, there are many tribal villages near Keonjhar mines, one of the biggest iron ore mines in Odisha. Okay. Then near the villages, iron ore is scooped up every day by the large earth excavators of Odisha Mining Corporation, leaseholder of these iron ore mines, largest profit making public sector undertaking. But little has changed in the lives of tribals. Then the village does not have Anganwadi. Iron ore dust mixes with the stream in which villagers bath, and the water is reddish brown. Untimely deaths have been occurring among the tribal families who live around the iron ore mines in the district. At the same time, however, Chief District Medical Officer Keonjhar said these villages have been the special focus of district health administration. We have found high liquor consumption by tribal people, which could be one of the reasons behind early deaths. Due to social stigma and low awareness level, they don't approach hospitals in the first place. After the situation worsens, they come to the hospital. Suppose you are newly appointed DM of Keonjhar district. Then identify ethical issues in the above case. Discuss courses of action. There, such kind of question can be asked. What are the major issues and then ethical issues? First thing, let's say that there is medical problem, there is environmental problem, and third is developmental problem. Directly, yes, development related. That includes both health and education. When I say medical, immediately the problem is related to some of the tuberculosis cases, or people are dying now, so immediate medical concern is there. Overall, we will talk about educational and health status. So how to approach this? Yes.
Psychologically, they are not being included. That is the major drawback around that tribal area.
That is long term. We will say that the psychological, what we are saying mainstreaming of tribal communities.
They are not aware about that. Due to that side, that is the reason.
Yes, we'll talk about that. Basically, we'll cover that throughout these issues. You can say that basically when we say development aspect, you should also talk about here the awareness, lack of awareness. One of the ethical issues is this one also. But yes, lack of education and all these things also lead to lack of awareness. Okay, so environment issue is there, mining problem. You can deal with that. Okay, so environment, there should be strict implementation of environment norms, pollution norms by these companies. Excavation जो भी हो रहा है, there should not be let's say pollution of water bodies in the nearby region. There should be continuous monitoring by the regulatory agencies. You can mention that. Then medical, immediately the district health officials, they should be asked to take a monitoring drive to all villages. There can be health camps, immediately सारा monitoring हो जाना चाहिए सारे लोगों का at villages level. See, try to understand, it is responsibility of the government to go to them and provide services. We cannot wait these people to come to hospital and claim that no, they are not aware. So there can be mobile clinics, there can be monthly drives by the district hospitals. This is very important. Okay, so you can write that in the medical immediately, and in development aspect you try to provide that Pradhan Mantri Khanij Yojana is there. Under that, district mineral foundations are being formed at district level, and these district mineral foundations, they have the non-lapsable resources related to development of those people living in the mineral areas. Okay, they should be used for development aspect. You should be aware about government schemes. The article also mentions, actually, this newspaper, that whatever the penalties are there on these, let's say, polluting activities, there is different separate fund created by Odisha government, but that fund is not being utilized. It remained unutilized fund. Okay, so utilization of that fund along with the development related funds of the government. You should be aware Odisha is such state where northeastern 3-4 districts, Kalahandi district, Keonjhar district, these are the least developed districts of India, most backward region of India, we will say that. Okay, and yes, we should also understand the tribal people, they are actually, they have this habit of living in isolation. They are shy people, they do not want to integrate with the mainstream society. So obviously this argument does not stand here. They will come to the government hospital, they will try to follow whatever they are having, following in since centuries, na? They use their own medicines, traditional medicines, right? So they will not come unless and until it is life and death question. This is approach of tribal people. Basically it is responsibility of the government, administration to go to them. So awareness campaigns, then we can say that whatever the educational block, educational officers are there, or the education related funds are there, so they should be asked to have the education, or we can say schools, primary schools at least, Anganwadis, they will be used as, let's say, providing vaccines, providing basic medicines, Anganwadi workers will be there, midday meal scheme will be there, so everything, वो सब लिख देना है बाद में. Clear है? Fine? So whenever such case study appears, largely these issues are mentioned, so you can talk about. You can talk about social justice, ethical issue, welfare, social justice.
Convince them the benefits of medical.
Yes, you have to convince them, you have to, let's say, have the benefits in, let's say, according to their cultural aspect. Okay, customs, culture, वो समझ के हमें ये सब करना है. Okay, states scramble to avoid power restrictions, right? So the power utilities in most southern states, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Kerala, are staring at coal shortage and scrambling to avoid power restrictions. So basically because of lack of availability of coal, the transportation delays are happening, and because of that the stocks, coal stocks in these thermal power plants in these states have been reduced. So concerns have been raised. So what we will do here, we will try to know about the coal resources of India. We will mark them on the blank map here like this. Okay. So first and foremost, the Chota Nagpur Plateau region. So first of all, we will mark here Jharia, the major coal field. Then you can mark in West Bengal Raniganj. Then you can mark here immediately nearby Odisha region. You write down here Jharkhand, West Bengal. Then this is Talcher, Odisha. Then come here in MP, Singrauli in MP. Then there is in Chhattisgarh Korba coalfields, Chhattisgarh. And then in this region you can say, sorry, Bailadila. Yes, Bailadila is also there, but in Bailadila there is largely iron ore. Okay, Bailadila there is iron ore region, southern part. Northern part Korba coal reserves are there, Chhattisgarh. This is Singareni in Telangana. So these are Gondwana coal reserves in India. These are Gondwana coal reserves in India, and Gondwana coal constitutes around 98% of the coal reserves of India, volume wise, production wise. Tertiary coal, we will talk about that. Okay, so this is the major coal resources. They are of bituminous quality coal. Okay, bituminous type of coal. Now come here, tertiary coal, we will look at the reserves of tertiary coal. In Tamil Nadu, somewhere here, Neyveli, major, we will say, lignite resources of the country are located in Tamil Nadu. Lignite, there is Neyveli power plant, right? Then there are tertiary coal reserves somewhere here in Meghalaya. In Assam also, you need to know that even in Jammu and Kashmir, there are Udhampur district of Jammu and Kashmir, tertiary coal. There are some reserves in Bikaner district of Rajasthan, tertiary coal. There are some reserves of Wardha Valley, Maharashtra, tertiary coal. This is the coal resources of India. Tertiary coal is recently formed, largely lignite. Okay, and Gondwana coal around, we can say 150 million years ago, from that time period, Carboniferous period. Okay, Gondwana coal is formed during Carboniferous period. So from time to time, whenever it is in news, we need to cover such resources. GS1 paper, geography part. Clear? Okay. Coming back. Yes, Meghalaya river back from dead, claims government. The name of the river is Lukha river. Location of the river, Jaintia, East Jaintia hills. Now there are 3 hills named after the inhabitants, local tribes. Garo, Khasi, Jaintia, from left to right. Garo, Khasi, Jaintia on Meghalaya plateau. So it is talking about Jaintia hills. Lukha river, literally named as reservoir of fish. So in last 10 years, because of, let's say, rat hole mining that is going on in that region, the river has been polluted. Okay, river has been polluted. You can see here the most of the Meghalaya's rat hole mines, coal mines are located. So there has been, let's say, pilot project to rejuvenate the Lukha river by using algae to remove toxic contents from the water. It has become a success. This process is called as phycoremediation, using algae for environmental, let's say, pollution. Phycoremediation. So we'll understand this concept now. The types of environmental remediation. First of all, you should understand what is environmental remediation. This is the process through which, let's say, using different kinds of living and simply we'll say that non-living as also, but largely we'll say that the biological resources to reduce the environment pollution. Okay, largely what we adopt, chemicals are used or some kind of, let's say, advanced technologies are used to reduce the pollution. This environmental remediation technique basically uses the removal of pollutants from media such as soil, groundwater, sediments and surface water with the help of different agents. What are these agents? First, bioremediation uses microorganisms to degrade the organic contaminants. Now, microorganisms include fungi, bacteria, so they can be used as let's say agents to degrade organic contaminants. This is very much famous for oil spills, bioremediation. Okay, oil spill. So organic matter or organic contaminants, they are actually broken down. So you remember this. Then phytoremediation technology use living plants to clean up soil, air and water. Okay, phyto means something related to trees, plants, right? Then phycoremediation, phyco means algae. Okay, phycoremediation defined as use of algae to treat waste or waste waters. So this technique was used here, Lukha river. Okay, so on the basis of this information, what should be answer to this question then? Simply all. Yes, so you'll remember this. This kind of question can be asked. You should not be confused between phyco and phyto, right? Okay, so all of this is correctly matched. There can be use of fungi here. So remember microorganisms. So they can be bacteria. Actually, some of the genetically modified bacteria and fungi are also used here. Okay, but they are living agents, microorganisms we will say. Fine. Okay, so these are the important articles. Any question? Okay then, so you will have this prelims related discussion section wise. Each faculty will come and they will record this video. Okay, directly there will not be interaction. So recorded video will be there for each section. You should follow that. You need to have look at what kind of questions are being asked. You are attempting next 2022 exam, right? So UPSC to some extent from last year changed pattern in some sections. Okay, so you should be aware about that, especially environment section. Okay, so yes, we will discuss that later whenever we have time, foundation batch. Okay, fine, let us stop. Thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.